Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Let's Talk United. Today's just a quick discussion video on Van Gaal's philosophy, tactics and stuff, and where I see United in the next season or two and the signings we might be making. Um, there's going to be a link in the description below to a thread I read recently, and it really goes into a bit of detail on what Van Gaal's tactics to be when he's making his team, especially in the 4-3-3. And it really goes into detail. It really does explain why he's making certain selection choices that confuse players, with Fellaini up front and stuff like that. And to explain it briefly is that Van Gaal likes to have four defensive-minded players, and if you look at a 4-2-3-1 with United, we would have the four at the back. It doesn't really matter which ones, but we have four at the back, and then you would have Blind, Herrera, Young, Fellaini, Di Maria and Rooney up front. That has been, an ongoing team selection for the last 3 games, maybe more. And people are questioning why Fellaini keeps getting picked. And the reason he's getting picked is because Van Gaal likes to have four defence-minded players, two centre-backs, two defensive midfielders, and one of the defensive midfielders to be a box-to-box defensive midfielder. And when you see United's lineup, we have two centre backs, we have Blind, and then we have no box-to-box defensive midfielder, which unbalances the team, because we would have a lot of attacking players, because we would have the full-backs, the wingers, the striker, the number 10, and then those four at the back, those four defensive core that will really balance out the team, and we don't have that balance, which is what Van Gaal keeps mentioning. He keeps mentioning that we don't have a midfielder to help to balance out the creativity of the team. Some people took that as we don't have a creative midfielder. We have loads. We have Di Maria, Mata, Herrera. We've got loads of creative midfielders. We don't have a midfielder to balance that out. And if it's been said since the start of the season, if you look at United's attack and compare it to the defence, it's not that good. It's unbalanced. So he's been trying to mess around with things to try and fill that defensive box-to-box midfielder gap. We've seen the likes of Rooney being played in midfield and Fellaini being played as defensive midfielder, and both times it didn't work. It didn't help out the defence, and it kind of took away from the attack. Now, he needs to have some kind of physical presence in the midfield where that box-to-box midfielder isn't, if we play Herrera there, because he's more attacking and he's not as defensive. He's not as good defensively as he is attacking as we would like. So he throws the likes of Fellaini in there to try and balance out that gap caused by Herrera. Which fans might say, why can't he mix it? Why can't he change his formation? Why can't he change his tactic? Why can't he change this? And then we get back to the whole point of Van Gaal is very stubborn in his mindset, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing being that it has led to some success, a lot of success in different clubs throughout the years, and a bad thing in the case of he's not really adapting well in tough situations where we need him to. So when you look at this 4-3-3 that we're probably going to be seeing in the future, one spot to look at is that box-to-box midfielder. That will probably be Van Gaal's main priority for fixing, because if you fix that position, it really then enables the likes of Mata, Herrera and all that to be played in different positions, as that number 10 kind of position, or even Mata out wide. And it explained, and just hearing that has helped me understand why Fellaini gets picked so much and why Mata and Herrera keep getting dropped. Now, it doesn't make me happy. I'm not happy about Herrera and Mata being dropped. I don't understand why he can't change, but at least there is a reason for it now. So if we're looking into the summer, we will be sticking with this 4-3-3, and we look at the signings. Now I'll quickly go over players I think might be leaving. We'll start with goalkeepers. Lindegaard, just because we have De Gea, hopefully, Valdez, who's there, and we have Amos and Johnston as younger keepers as well. So there's no real need for Lindegaard. Then we have in defenders, maybe 1 or 2 youngsters will go. I'm not really going to bother with that, but we have the likes of Jones, Smalling and Evans. They haven't been that good this season. Now, Smalling's been decent, but Jones and Evans have really been terrible. they've just been awful. Every situation they're making so many mistakes, but that could be down to not being used to and not adapting. But we saw last season Jones and Evans weren't that good at all. Going into midfield, Carrick, he's out of contract at the end of the summer. I don't think he's been given a year extension. He's coming to the end of his game. He's not as good as he once was. He's not as influential as he once was. We had that purple patch where he really helped us, but he's not that player that we need. If Blind is the future, if Blind is the future Carrick in that defensive midfield position of a deep line playmaker, then we can't put Carrick beside Blind. And if you were to choose Blind between Blind and Carrick, I'm going to choose Blind because he's a lot younger, has a future ahead of him. Carrick's come to the end of his career. It's time for him to move on, and he might be a coach one day. He might just retire, find a different team, but he has to be moved on like Fletcher. We need to rebuild. Then you have the likes of Herrera. Will he be able to stay in this team because if he can't provide that box-to-box defensive midfielder, then where is he going to be played? Is he going to be played as the number 10? Because he has to compete with the likes of Mata and Rooney there. What is the future for Herrera? I'm not too sure. Then we have the likes. Oh yeah, Raphael. He hasn't been. He's barely been played all season. We've been linked with two right backs. So Raphael will probably be sold. Valencia was given a contract to begin the season, so I don't see him being sold by Van Gaal. Raphael, who hasn't been played that much at all, is probably going to be moved on. When we look to the front line area, Falcao probably won't be signed. He'll probably be let go back to Monaco. Some of the team will probably snap him up and he'll do well there, but he's just not going to fit in with us. In saying that, Van Gaal, if he changes the strategy, might decide to keep Falcao, but I don't see it happening. Especially with the price tag he's going to have. I'd rather see that money spent on more important areas, especially when with the likes of Rooney and Van Persie. We don't need to sign Falcao. We can use that 40 or 50 million to really boost other areas of the pitch. Then there's the wingers situation if we're going to be playing this 4-3-3, and we have Di Maria, Januzaj and Ashley Young. I won't include Valencia as that because he's been played more as a right back for the last 3 years. But those 3 we have. Januzaj, good prospect, very young player, good future ahead of him, but not exactly first team quality at the moment. Di Maria, world-class player, going to start every week if we can put him in, because I believe if we keep him on the wing and the team has a lot more consistency, then he'll really start to thrive. And we have Ashley Young, who's been good this season. And while he's been good this season, he is around 29-30. He's not going to be the future winger of the club. We have the likes of Nani coming back, but that's if Nani does come back. But both of them are probably going to be used as squad players. They're not going to be the future of United. They've come to an age where they've had too many inconsistencies in their career, and they're not going to be dependable enough. And United, and especially Van Gaal, want younger blood coming in to fill those positions, which is where Depay comes in. We've been heavily linked with him. He's a Dutch winger, plays for PSV in the Eredivisie. He's a really, really good pacey winger. He's got a lot of quality to his game, and he's recently on his Twitter account favorited a tweet by a Dutch press account which said that United had money to throw at Depay in the summer or something like that, and he had favorited it. Now we've seen stuff like that before with players. We've seen Messi, following Chelsea players, and we've seen 1 or 2 players, trying to gain more negotiating powers with contracts and stuff like that. Now it might just be that, or it might be an actual sign of intent for Depay to let United know, I want to join. And if with Van Gaal there, who is the former Dutch coach who's managed Depay, he'll know him and he'll have a good influence on where Depay wants to go. And hopefully he'll join because he's a really good player. Last position that would leave off is going to be the striker, and there's a lot of controversy here because different fans will have different opinions. It's like, it's not necessarily the striker's fault this season on how poorly he's been playing. A lot of people calling Van Persie to leave, but if you look at Van Persie in Ferguson's last season, he was the best striker in the league by a mile. He was brilliant, and I'm pretty sure he still has that in him if we play the right way. You look at Van Persie during the World Cup, wasn't the greatest, but he had a lot of good performances in him. And I think with the right support, he would be able to bring that to the Premier League yet again. Problem is his age. But what I would like to see, and I think Van Gaal might do it, is that Van Persie has like a season or two left on his contract, and if he plays with Van Persie as the main striker and Wilson as the backup, when Van Persie leaves United, then Wilson will be the number one striker up front. More than likely, he'll probably be left up front as the lone striker, and I think that's what a lot of United fans would want. Instead of paying, maybe over 30 million to bring in a striker that there aren't many of that we can really sign, especially when we already have certain strikers at the club. I think a lot of fans, especially myself, would prefer Wilson, who's a United product, to be developed at the club to become that main striker, because in the future we would have players like Blackett and McNair who are going to be getting, hopefully, especially if Jones and Smalling and all that are moved on, and we maybe make a centre-back signing in the likes of Varane and Marquinhos or whatever, then they will get game time as they will be the main backups. We have Januzaj who will be involved way much more, and Wilson who will be involved a lot more, and that's a lot. That's going to be 4 or 5 potentially young under 22, 23 players, and a lot of them Man United developed in the future, and that is something that United want to see. We don't want to be the likes of City and Chelsea, who are rarely bringing up youth players but buying in ready-made players. We really do have to look to the future, because Van Gaal's only going to be here for 2 seasons, and if he buys in players that are around 26, 27, and the next manager who comes in doesn't really fit with them, then they're gone. It's a lot of money wasted. But if you have youth players, young, good players at the club, then any manager can come in and really mould them, especially if they are developed well enough before they come in. And I think I really do think we'll see that happening. I'll leave some diagrams during the video of different formations and players and stuff like that, and who I think might be going. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think we're going to be sticking with a 4-3-3? What players do you think we're going to be signing? What's your opinion on Van Persie and Falcao and stuff like that? So hit me up on Twitter, subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. Give me your feedback, and don't forget to check out that link in the description below. It's really in detail, and it explains a lot of questions that fans have been asking. So until then, see you next time.